So I'm just going to give you guys a little tutorial here on how to throw together the commercial bench. You start with the frame upside down there. Grab that first piece with the wheels. Make sure the wheels are facing out. Grab yourself one of the bolts and a washer. You drop the bolt and the washer through the top. You want the head of the bolt to be on the bottom of the bench there, and then it will space off the floor with the rubber feet. Grab yourself another washer and you throw on the posi-lock nut. Ensure that the washers are on both the bolt side and the nut side, and get those started there. You won't be able to go too far with it. Those posi-lock nuts have the built-in thread locker there, so that'll have to be done with a wrench. So get those ones started there. You can head on over to the other side of the bench. Grab the other base piece there. That one's symmetrical, so it doesn't really matter which way you put it on. Again, grab a bolt and a washer. Washer and a nut. And just get it started. So once you get that started, you're going to want to get yourself a couple wrenches, a couple crescent wrenches, a crescent wrench and a vice grip, or in my case an impact gun, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend, not really necessary. You can just use a wrench. I didn't necessarily want it to be a 25-minute instructional video. So you want to get that base piece and you want to make sure that that's pulled out towards the front, the outside of the bench there. There's a little bit of play in there that if you need to later you can adjust, but essentially you just want to make sure that it's symmetrical. So you'll notice that I'm using my hand there to kind of pull it to the outside. Now I'll use my finger and just kind of press it towards the outside there to make sure it's even on both sides when I'm tightening it up. And back on the other side, it's the same principle. You got that play. And just make sure you put some pressure on it and you keep it towards the outside there. You want to tighten it up all twisted. So again, I'm just using my thumb there, keeping a bit of pressure on the outside, torquing that up. Just snug it first. You don't have to crank on it. The best way to tighten them is to kind of snug them both up and then cinch them up tight. Again, tighten that up. Just going to snug up the first side a little bit tighter there. And that's complete. So you'll notice I'm just going to take the base and go place it on the ground there. Just make sure everything's sitting right before I go too far. So obviously if it was a little off kilter I would adjust it. This one was fine. I just cranked it up tight, put it on the ground. It was solid, flush to the ground, so I was able to continue on. Definitely a little easier to do before you get the backrest and the seat on there. So at this point I grab the seat rests and the backrest, Again, this is the first time I put it together, so I had decided that maybe it was a better idea to throw the pin locks in there first. These are very simple. They're just threaded. They go into a little threaded collar on the frame there, so it's as simple as just twisting them in there. So easy peasy, just twist those on, and then once they get snug there, I went and grabbed the crescent wrench and finished them off. This type of stuff, you don't need to be cranking on it. You know, it's just, oops, dropped it there. You just want to just snug it up. And you're not worried about that coming undone. I mean, you know, if in 5 years it decides to loosen up on you for any reason, it's just a simple snug. With moving parts, you don't want to be cranking on them and then breaking them. So I'm testing all the positions there. Seems perfectly fine. Everything's smooth, solid. And time to get the seat rest on there. Same thing, just a threaded pin lock. This one I obviously had a little bit more trouble getting it started there. And quick little whack with the palm, and it's in. So again, finish it off with the crescent wrench. I really don't suggest any sort of power tools for this. They're just really not necessary, and you don't really have the control when you're putting things together. You know, the wrench gives you a good feel of how tight things are, and again, give that the seat pins a test there. Everything's perfectly fine. Now on to the upholstery. So the upholstery has some pre-drilled holes and some threaded nuts already embedded inside of it. And the screws you use are pretty obvious, so just pivoted this one up so I can get under it there, and I believe there's 4 that went into the seat. And so when you're putting in 4 bolts like that, you want to kind of get them all started first and ensure that you can get them all threaded and you're not crossing the threads on them or stripping the bolts or anything silly like that, and you can kind of proceed to tighten them up in a staggered pattern after that. If you're ever putting something in and it doesn't quite feel right, it's usually an indicator that you don't have something lined up properly. And if you start forcing on it, you're just going to end up with some problems. So better to just back off and see if you can get it lined up again. And the whole goal is to just not go cranking tight on everything until you know that it's all fitting together properly. I just finished this off with the wrench. Definitely just taking my time there and ensuring that not over tightening. And again, you want to do the stagger pattern as much as you can when you're tightening things up like this. You know, you do the bolt adjacent to the other bolt and then jump on over the other side. You never go and crank one up while there's still a loose one on the other side. So, seat looks perfect, sits nice and flat and flush. It's got the 4 locking positions there, which obviously, you know, are pretty key depending on where you got the backrest at. So now I'm onto the backrest there. It's definitely important to get the seat rest in first there. It helps hold the backrest in position. Just adjusting and lining them up. Guess you probably can't see the top of the seat there. Alright, so I got them all in there. Do another check on all the seat positions. Got the low incline right down to flat. It's a great flat bench. There's not too much space between the seat and the backrest there. Time to pick her up. Obviously this bench is pretty heavy, be that it is a commercial bench and is made with some thick steel, but it has the wheels and the handle, so we can cart it around however we like, and the wheels will disengage as I set it down. It sits perfectly flat on the floor. If the bench is not sitting flat on the floor, there's probably something that went wrong during the installation there. And there it is. Nice solid bench. Not moving anywhere. Obviously built for pretty much anybody there for that bench. Well, thanks for watching the instructional video.